Hi, how are ya? I wanted to make sure we got that super loud. This is our third time.
Third time's the charm.
I fucking guess.
So what we were saying that you didn't hear that we were saying is that we have been doing podcast stuff. We unintentionally took a break, but we have been doing stuff in between. It's just that the last episode that we had to record took too long to edit. So
yeah, I got fucking irritated because I talked too much and the episode ended up being 2 hours long, which is hilarious because I always make jokes about Khairah talking too much. She really does not. My dumb ass went 2 hours.
But it was needed.
Angry. I fucking guess they're just angrier afterwards.
Well, my voice sounds a little different this time because I am a little bit under the weather. But I'm getting better, so there's that.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going a little bit off script this week. So we had, episodes planned out. But in light of trends going on, and because she pisses me off, not Kaylyn. I mean, you do sometimes. But we're going to talk about the Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard trial. Focusing on Amber Heard being a bitch. Redacted.
Leave it in there. Fuck it.
Amber Heard being a bitch. Mm-hmm. Stand by that. And how frustrating that is. And so that's what we're going to focus on this week. Hopefully you guys like it. Just so you know, the way that I view it right now is I'm on Johnny Depp's side. And I'll explain in a minute. But so that's what this week is going to be on.
Yeah, and I personally have not been following the trial as closely as Khairah has, so she is going to do a lot more of the leading. But that's on brand.
Well, damn.
We just said you don't talk as much as you think you do, so don't be offended. You know what I mean?
That's fair.
Yeah, I clearly talk way fucking more than you do.
God. Anyway.
Like a wind-up toy. She get me going. I'm just fucking off.
I mean, well, you get it naturally. Your mom.
That's true. We should bring her on here.
You want to add in another 2 hours?
I'm just gonna cut it off after a certain point.
Fair enough.
I'll end the episode cutting her off in the middle of it.
And you never know the end for the
unless you give us some money on Patreon.
Oh, yeah, we post the rest of them.
Unedited content on there so you can hear everybody's names that we're shitting on. You can hear all the like lip smacks and
bloopers that we have.
Yeah, it's more than bloopers, bro, because bloopers are funny.
Our stuff is funny, I think.
I don't cut out the funny stuff.
Oh.
Usually.
Well, in that case.
Yeah, hear all the unedited bullshit on Patreon for as low as $1 a month. As high as $50 a month, but that's only if you're trying to 1v1 me.
Good luck. That's all I got to say on that. I'm not going to be into that stuff.
Yeah.
But, so let's get started. We're going to try and keep it under 2 hours this time. So, the trial is a defamation case. And apparently she's being sued by Johnny for an op-ed that she had posted or that she wrote in 2018.
For the dumb people in the audience, definitely not me. What's an op-ed?
Well, I'm not dumb and I don't know what that is.
Okay, great. I'm gonna look that up then very quickly since no one is dumb and we all need help with things.
Yeah, I just know that it's like an article piece.
Yeah, I do know that, but is it because it was specifically about him? An op-ed is short for the opposite the editorial page, or is the backronym the opinions and editorial page? Okay.
So something on the editorial page.
Yeah, something to do with actual print. That's why I don't know what it is.
Well, I know. Well, now that I read it, I know what that is. But so like if you look at your newspaper or it's just like a piece. Like when you end up on the editorial page for writing and stuff like that, that means your piece has a lot of standing behind it. Like people pushing it, and typically like celebrities and stuff like that get a lot of circulation around that because to have an editorial or opposite of the editorial page is pretty prominent, like pretty prominent thing. don't ask me any further than that because I can't explain it to you. I just know that it's important. But anyway, so she wrote the piece, and although she didn't directly name him, it was very, very understood by everybody that she was referring to Johnny Depp, and that further ruined his fucking career. And because it was about abuse and sexual assault,
right?
Yes. Let me be clear about that. So she was saying that Hollywood stood by her abuser, and that she had became the face 2 years ago in 2016 of domestic violence. And normally, you never want to shame or not believe a victim. That's one of the hardest, because it's so hard to come out about it in the first place. And so if I had just, heard that, I would have been shocked, but I would be like, well, damn, Johnny Depp did this. But there were so many other things that were coming out about it that made it very clear that she was lying. And during that is the recordings that's been coming out about the case, where she secretly recorded, but it was very damaging for her. Finding out that she was the one who was actually the abuser. I've been watching Observe about it, some of his videos about it, and analyzing their body language and all of that, or their nonverbal cues. And he explains that with the way that they were interacting even in public together, that Johnny Depp was more portrayed as more so the victim than she was trying to portray. And even in her original deposition, she was very detached, and the way that she was telling it wasn't the way typically a victim would. And I understand that not everyone acts the same way. I'm fully aware of that, and that's why you have to be careful with these type of things. But there's also some sort of baseline of understanding, and a lot of times other victims can recognize other victims even if they don't react the same way.
I also just want to interject very quickly. A deposition is sworn evidence, because I didn't know that, so I had to Google it very quickly. All right.
Yep, it's a sworn evidence of a testimony.
Yeah, so she's given a legal statement with a bunch of lies in it.
Yeah. And then in her recent testimony on stand, a lot of the stuff that she says contradicts that. The story changes. And she's just a despicable, disgusting human being. Honestly, I just have to say that. And like I said, you have to be careful with blaming a victim, shaming a victim, or saying you don't believe them, or saying that they're not acting this way, so that's not right. I'm not saying that at all, but I'm saying a lot of times, being a victim myself, or having been one, not for domestic violence, but for sexual assault, there's a lot of things that you recognize in other people, even if they don't react the same way that you do. And you can just tell that she's just lying all of that. There's just, she can't recount anything that happened. I know that some people will, their mind will block stuff out because it's a protection mechanism. But one minute she says she doesn't remember, the next minute she does, and she remembers these details. She's saying that she describes this very explicit and graphic, horrific rape, and said, her feet were cut up, she was bleeding from her vagina because she got raped by a bottle that felt like a punch to her bone,
pubis.
She thought she was being punched, but she wasn't. Or that's what she's saying, it was a bottle. And I didn't know that you could mistake being punched on the bone to being raped by a bottle.
Well, okay. Trigger warning. First of all, we should have said that a while ago.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. In my personal experience, when people are being forceful down there, it does just feel like you're being punched.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was the way that she was saying it that seemed off.
Yeah, her wording of it, that's
and fair. The way that she explained it, because she was saying almost like being punched on the, on. Like,
that's what it feels like.
Okay.
I'm just remember we low key. Khairah and I had a TMI. Khairah and I had a talk a while ago about my terrible situationships, and not with people who were like intentionally being aggressive or whatever, but they really just genuinely have not had enough experience to be considerate.
Yeah.
And you think consideration is common sense. We all know common sense ain't common. So these people are just a little too much, and they didn't know that, and then that's what it feels like. Okay. It literally. Okay. And then it's knuckles. But for a bottle, that probably hurts even more if that actually happened.
Yeah. And it was...
Allegedly.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
So that's what she's saying, what was happening. And then... but then there's photos of her. And then he was beating her in the face and just hitting her in the head. So there's no report. Like, I know that a lot of victims don't report. So I'm not saying that is the reason that I don't believe her. But she was very adamant with taking pictures of Johnny Depp while he was asleep and taking a nap, or maybe knocked out or drugged up on opiates. But then has no pictures that she's taken of herself with these bruises that she's saying that he gave her. And then you talking about you were dripping blood everywhere, but we see pictures of you. He has his hand that you cut, that you shattered the top part of his finger, of his middle finger off, that you won't say that you did. Mm-hmm. You shattered that off. The bone was exposed. Top bone is shattered. But you are, waving at the paparazzi and everything. No bruises on the face. You're walking perfectly fine.
You're not supposed to have cut up feet and whatnot.
And I mean, like, even after rough sex, like, you can't necessarily walk straight. So
after all of that, and now she's an actress, so.
And then she was dancing ballet the next day, allegedly. So all of this going, like, there's just so much inconsistencies. And then when they started showing the pictures of the actual place that was trashed with all this broken glass and everything, the pictures don't match up to the horrific story that she gave.
And then not only that, I don't know if this is, because again, I haven't been following the case that closely. Is this the incident where she supposedly used the specific brand of makeup that she showed?
Yeah.
And then the company...
No, but she was saying that she constantly used that to cover up.
But that's what I'm saying. So, she's saying that there are these instances, because you mentioned that she didn't have any marks on her face. So she's saying that she used to cover her shit with a specific, like, brand and, like...
Milani,
yeah. And then they came out in TikTok, I think it was first, and they made a whole video about how the brand that she, or like the compact that she's holding up didn't come out until a year after they divorced. So not even during the 15 months that they were married, but a whole year after that.
And so they were like, you're not about to drag me down with this shit, because they already see it spiraling. And it's not, you destroyed this man's career out of pure jealousy and contempt for the fact that you couldn't keep him, and that you couldn't browbeat him into being one of your victims. He was going to leave you because he allegedly presented divorce to her first, and then she went and got a TRO. She tried to extort him and said, I won't get the TRO if you pay for this and this and that, allegedly.
What's a TRO?
A temporary restraining order.
Oh, okay.
You're gonna get that, and then you wouldn't get that if he did these things and paid for this and paid for that. And he's like, I'm not. You did this. And so then she's like, I'm gonna go get it, got it, and filed for divorce, and made it seem like she was being abused.
Yeah.
And then there's a recording afterwards with all this stuff and talking about her credibility is shot. She wants her credibility back. What is she gonna do? Now this is after, the whole gotten the temporary restraining order, all this and that. This horrific man that you were trying to escape, that you have on a recording saying that you love and you don't want him to go. You don't want to lose him because he is basically, he had to be escorted to the hospital, but walked out on you because he said you disgust him so much that you make him fucking hate himself or feel disgusted in himself.
And apparently she never needed to get hospital treatment for her wounds. times.
Exactly. And to the point where on this recording, I forget the name of the YouTuber who has it posted.
Link will be in the description if we find it.
Yeah. She's saying that the doctors are saying, yeah, I know that she did this, meaning that she busted his finger off. And they're like, I'm not concerned about her. He's the primary, we're focused on him. He's what's important right now. She's trying to help find the finger after allegedly being raped.
Say heavy air quotes around find the finger.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And it's showing that she's trying to, in the recording, that she's trying to find the finger for him, or the tip of his finger. And but this is after she allegedly been brutally raped, took for her, according to her, sleeping pills, and was trying to recover from him beating and raping her. And she was just trying to escape. And then she said that happened the night before, but this is clear that it happened in the morning time, and everyone's trying to get him safe, and then they're trying to get her to get the fuck on. It's very, very clear. Like, there's nobody saying, oh, I see any nobody is even expressing seeing any bruises on her or anything like that. Oh, we should make sure that she get medical attention.
That's what I'm saying.
There's nothing.
If you were brutally raped, you tell the paramedics that. You know what I mean? Like,
or at least the nurse and doctor who's attending to you. And they're not even mentioning anything about you being hurt. Like, they gave you a sedative because you were so hysterical about worrying about Johnny, thinking that this was all your fault and you don't want to lose him because, you know, because
you know what you did.
Exactly. You shattered his fucking finger.
And like Khairah saying that she shattered the bone, but that took off the top of his finger. So as far as the cord is concerned, she cut off his finger. Yeah, bro. I just gotta clarify that, because the imagery is like, of course they won't find the finger. You know what I mean? Yeah. But no, she cut off the flesh and shattered the bone
because she threw apparently a vodka bottle. I think she threw two. One flew past his face, and the other one hit his hand, and it shattered. And the force of because a vodka bottle is heavy,
especially if it's full.
And so she threw that, and the force of that is what shattered the bone. But with the glass itself breaking, cut the finger off, or the tip of the finger, not his whole finger. So like, you see that he's the one constantly being abused. And then there was something else where she explained him kicking her in the back with his boot, and nobody's saying anything. And
she said she got punched in the back of the head repeatedly.
But then they were at premieres that were right after that, where her back was exposed and there wasn't shit. And then, you know, she's saying, you know, all of this stuff happened, but then she has appearances the very next day with no type of, and then she said that she wore very minimal makeup. So you're incriminating yourself.
Yeah, it's hard to keep your story straight when you're telling so many lies.
Yeah. And like, I never want to discredit somebody who's going through anything horrific. That's not okay. But it's fucked up for somebody to make it up just because you're a woman and can get away with it. Because she's even said that on a recording.
Yeah, because think about it, bro. It's been 7 years since they first got married. She almost did get away with it.
And the only reason that she didn't is because she was the one who tried to name him as the abuser. If she just left him the fuck alone, then everybody would be fine. She would still be irrelevant.
Well, no, she'd be in the DCEU.
Irrelevant. Don't nobody care about her. So, and that's what people said. They was like, you only brought him up or alluded to him because you needed relevancy to promote yourself. And then, you know, just, I don't know, she's just apparently, allegedly, she stole the sexual assault story from her ex-assistant, because her ex-assistant had told her about her own sexual assault story, and then now Amber is testifying it as her own, because in her original deposition she doesn't have all of these details. She can't tell you anything that happened as far as she'll just say like, you know, this happened, I was being abused, but there's no actual like recount of what happened.
And that was way closer, because wasn't that 2018? So that was
no, this is not even 2018. This is 2016 when they got divorced and when the thing happened. Now this is a couple months after it happened, but this is 2016 is her original deposition.
But you got more details now 7 years later.
Exactly. And then the whole story changed. And then she's talking about protecting her sister from him, but the sister can't testify because she never finished her deposition. There's just so many holes in her story, and it's just the reason I wanted to talk about it, one, because it's trending, but two, with her doing this, my fear is that she discredits real victims and real survivors from domestic violence and sexual assault, because it's already hard enough for them to be abused, because a lot of times it is he said versus she said, or she said versus he said. And then also it's even harder for men to come out and admit that they've been sexually assaulted or abused, or domestic abuse. And so with her lying so much and then trying to make it believable, her testimony in court was god awful. The worst act. People are like, you are going for this is your last acting or your last job acting, go for it, but she's giving such a terrible job. I mean, hell, if you're gonna act, give the best the performance of your life.
Yeah.
But I'm not condoning this at all. That's not okay, because you're destroying someone's livelihood. You're making it hard for actual people who are assaulted or go through this, SA is sexual assault, or DV, domestic violence, who goes through these things and are already trying hard enough to come out to report it. And then you make them even more fearful, because they're going to say, well, bring this up and be like, well, Johnny Depp was lied on for years about it. And she told a story. Why isn't this other person telling a story? You discredit people who are actually going through it. And that makes it so hard and frustrating. And that's sad. Like, for me personally, it was hard enough to talk about this stuff with my therapist, about the stuff that I went through. And for someone to just take it and do it so
callously, yeah,
and be okay with doing that, for what?
Yeah, bro, because she dated 2 other people right after this happened,
and then they actually have corresponding. No, they never came on court, but people have been pointing out that the while they were dating her, they will be sporting bruises too. And then she was also married to a woman before Johnny Depp, who she never called the police on her, but the police was called on Amber Heard for domestic violence against her. And it's just I hate people like that, because you make it so hard for people to be believed. To make yourself look better so you have clout. K grade. Now what about the real people? I mean, I'm not saying that celebrities aren't real people. I'm saying, like,
they're
what about
not,
the real?
bro. Think about it. Realistically, they're not real people. They have access to a plethora of different things that we'll never see or touch or.
I mean, well, the fact that they could to live off drugs for so long, there's that.
That's what I'm saying. They have millions of dollars. This is a case about what? He wants $50 million. There's a high likelihood that I will never touch that in my life. Those are not real people.
And if she loses, she don't have that type of money. But I think it's more so the fact of him just getting the story out, because he would have been completely destroyed if he never said anything. And I think with the fact of him getting it out now, even if he doesn't win, he's won the heart of the public. So, or the opinion of the public. So there's that, and at least the truth is out, because I believe him more. Because here's the thing, a lot of times there's this person, there's one side, there's another side, and then the middle lies the truth. But hers is so far-fetched that I don't even think there's a her side on this.
There is. She's just not telling the truth. That's the problem. And then the thing that blows me away is that she's the one that collected the most evidence, and she's still lying. This is your recording. This is your photograph. These are things that you presented, and you can't even kind of form your lie around this.
And then, that's one thing I wanted to say about the photos. So, some of the photos that she showed of her bruises, some people have pointed out that they are similar to Botox bruising. Because they're not actual big, they like little dime-sized things.
Yeah, not like if... Here's a great example, bro. Me and my mom bruise very easily. For her example, she was laying on the couch and a stack of books fell on her, and she had a fat-ass bruise across her entire bicep for like 3 weeks. I was roughhousing on my end with one of my friends when I was like 14, and he just grabbed my wrist a little too tight, and I had the mark of his hand on my wrist for like a week and a half. I got a massage from one of my coworkers the other day. I think it went away by now. She didn't even do like, I'm a massage therapist, she did like a medium pressure on my forearm, and it left a bruise like the size of a quarter from like her thumb. So if you're saying someone is beating you and like punching you, and she's white, I'm black, so I'm still not even bruising as much as she would.
And then even if like going off the bruising easy, because people could argue, well, you bruise easy. I don't bruise as easy as they do.
I'm just saying the bruises would be bigger if they were from abuse.
Yeah, because like for me, I mean, I don't know if y'all heard the clumsy episode, but I ran into a wall and gave myself a black eye. That was hard, and I don't bruise as easily, but that was there for weeks, and it was huge. And when I fell into a stack of chairs, my whole weight against the chairs. So, again, I don't bruise as easily, and that left a bruise on my shoulder for about at least a week.
Yeah, man. So those are mundane examples of bruises that are very obvious. They're big. They're you know
this
what I
is
mean?
not being punched. Like, she's saying that
somebody
being
punched me, I would look like I got dragged behind a car.
And she's explaining the equivalent of being dragged behind a car. And she has no bruising. She said that he broke her nose, but then she appeared on a show the next day, like Jay Leno or something like that. I don't know. Bro. And there was no twisting to her nose or anything like that. There's no medical records, or she hasn't presented any medical records that show, hey, I had to get this fixed.
Because Lil' Kim had to get her nose surgically redone.
And then you will also, whenever your nose is broken, like even when you have a nose job, they break your nose to do the nose job.
And then you have bruises.
You have bruises, and you have two black eyes.
That's
she
what
had
I was
neither.
Just about to say. I've seen, because we're in the information age, people are willingly posting this shit on social media. Seen people with these fat ass bruises both under their eye and around their eye,
and it's puffy as fuck. There's no way of hiding that.
Gotta be bandaged.
And it was like, even if she showed up on the show without her the correction or whatever, her nose will be twisted in a way it's not going to be straight anymore.
You wouldn't be able to breathe like that because your nose is broken.
It will be bent and not in the straight way that it's supposed to be directed. And I don't understand. Like she's progressively getting more and more eccentric with these tales.
And she has to. She feels
and she's doing it so poorly.
Here's what I'm gonna say about her. I feel like to some extent the emotions she is expressing are accurate. She is distressed by this. Is she distressed because of what she's saying she's distressed about? No, I don't think so. I do think she's under distress. I do think that this was a tumultuous relationship for both of them.
It was toxic.
Yeah, very, very obviously. They even said that in their mutual statement when they did divorce, before all this became public. And my biggest issue, I'm not a good person. I'm not going to pretend like, well, okay, I'm not the best person in the world. I have very loose morals sometimes. And I feel like you could have told a version of the truth. That's what people usually do in these court cases. You're not supposed to lie, right? So then tell a version of the truth that includes all the evidence, all the facts, all the details, and still supports your case. Like Khairah's got a good point. You're not even doing that well. You're just lying.
Because
Why?
You have no story to tell.
Why?
Like you're trying to make
Why?
something up, and
Then
that's the problem.
dramatize what actually happened. Don't make shit up.
But here's what I think the problem is that because she was the one abusing, and she's trying to paint him as the abuser, she doesn't have anything to dramatize. And then on top of that, you know, and I hate that because her psychologist had gotten on the stand, and she was very clearly biased about who is typically a victim and not, because she kept referring to, in general, victims being she
or her,
and that's not always the case, and you can't look at it that way.
Describe them as non-binaries.
And so because she kept doing that, I think maybe she kind of had good intentions, but she inadvertently just believed Amber because she's a woman against a man. And that's not always the case. That's not always the case, and it's not true.
I would even argue, to be honest with you, that it's probably more likely that men are getting abused.
But they're not reporting it.
Because they get shamed for it.
Yeah. And there's a lot of toxic women out there. I mean, not to put too much, he's not going to listen, but my twin, he's a boy. And he is in a toxic relationship, probably very similar to this one because there's drugs and stuff involved. And there's been plenty of times where he is in a hospital because his shoulder was dislocated. And in the beginning, he'll tell us the truth about what happened. But then when the pain medicine from getting his shoulder put back in place and his shoulder is back in place wears off, then he tells a whole different story. Oh, I just fell off the bed wrong. You think we that dumb?
Not even that, but like, you think we don't love you enough to honor what actually happened?
I agree. It's just he don't, like, you think that we wouldn't remember what you already told us.
Yeah.
And we're not so blinded that we're going to go along with it either.
Yeah, we don't like this bitch. You do.
Yeah. No, don't nobody like her. I don't like her. Anyway.
But he clearly does, and that's leading him to stay in a situation he may not want to be in.
And that's the unfortunate thing. And like I said, it's very common for men to be abused. It's just that they won't admit it because they feel they're going to be emasculated. So, and that's unfortunate, and I hate that. And so it's so much easier for a woman to be believed and then lie about it, and especially when they're the abuser, because even my brother's girlfriend has done stuff like that where she'll say, well, I'm the one that, or we'll go and say that she was the one that was being hurt or whatever, especially if he was just trying to defend himself. And that's a lot of times why guys won't defend themselves, is because they fear that the woman is going to go in and report and say, well, he did this to me, because men are heavier. Yeah. So if if they do one shove to try and protect themselves, you may fall harder, and then you'll have a harder bruise, and then you're like, oh, well, I got something on you. And that's disgusting.
And that doesn't include the people that'll be fucking wailing on niggas, and then the moment he defends himself, you put your hands on me. What?
Exactly. And so that is, again, it's common. And so I hate to see it. And I hate that he seemed like, I've been going back and watching his interviews and stuff like that. He seemed like such a reserved, cool guy. And I'm not saying that he's completely innocent. I fully believe that he was passing out from drugs and all of that. I also believe that being in that toxic relationship led him to doing more drugs.
Yeah.
But that didn't start it, no. I think he was definitely a drunk and stuff like that, but I don't think that him, like, from other people's, recounts and stuff like that, yeah, he was a drunk, but he was one of those, there's cool drunks. And he was one of those cool drunks. He wasn't one that got loud necessarily, but he was, laid back.
And people are testifying on his behalf to say this, mind you. This is not just speculative.
And they're not testifying to paint him as a saint, because none of this says that you're a saint. And I'm not saying that his story or his side of the story is 100% accurate. It's most likely not. But it's more accurate than what she's telling. And I am more inclined to believe that he was being victimized. I fully firmly, I mean, the fact that he had his finger cut off is one thing.
Yeah, and again, there's photo evidence of him, at least in the aftermath of that wound. There's no proof whatsoever of her being abused.
And there's even photos of him having bruises on his face. So I fully believe that he was being abused. And again, he probably did raise his voice or whatever, but if everybody is saying the same thing, and it's not that he's being paid or they being paid for this or anything like that, because his credibility is shot, so they don't have to do shit. But everyone is coming out to say he has never put his hands on a woman, he has never done this is not his character, even to this day this is not his character, then some of it got to be right. Like my grandfather used to say, if it walks like a duck, talks like a duck, it's a duck. So, she's a despicable bitch. And no.
Yeah, hopefully some of you guys are following the trial. And hopefully some of you guys are not as dumb on law stuff as I am. But yeah, we're going to be keeping updates on this. And I think we should make another, maybe an actual video, but we should make another episode when the trial is settled.
Yeah, that'd be at the end of the month. We can do that.
Yeah, and then we can also talk about we're going on a girls' excursion at the end of the month. if it goes poorly, we'll talk about it. If it goes well, you won't hear shit else.
Fair enough.
Yep.
Fair enough. So yeah, that's all we have for today. This was interesting to talk about. I guess good thing, the reason why I didn't, the video isn't, or the audio podcast isn't extremely long, is because I've been talking to Kaylyn about it throughout the week. But next week, or this upcoming week, is a dark week, meaning that the court is not in session because the judge, in this case, because the judge has prior obligations. So it'll be resuming next week, and I'll be watching it because I'm interested. And one would think that I would have wanted to be a lawyer at some point.
Maybe someone told you to be one.
Right.
Crazy.
Where did these things come from?
Wow.
Oh my God. But no, so I will be listening. This is the first time that I've ever been on trend with anything. Was I late? Absolutely.
Only a little. So I
was 3 weeks late.
So I was gonna say though, the funniest part about all of this is that I'm on iFunny, part of the ship, part of the crew. And anyway, I know you don't. Anyway, so I'm on iFunny quite a lot, and people started showing their support for Johnny Depp a year and a half ago, but it wasn't a court case yet. It was just things started to leak. And so I've been seeing posts about this for quite some time, and I really only started getting into the actual case because of Khairah.
And what's funny is that she brought this up I think it was last year, because we were watching. Okay, so I'm not caught up on movies, and I mean, just for context, I finally watched the first Pirates of the Caribbean yesterday. Yeah,
she's super not up on pop culture.
So we were watching Marvel movies. Me, her, and our other ex-roommate.
The dumb bitch who crossed my boundaries.
Right. Yes. And so we were watching that, and she was saying that I forget where it came out, but she was like, "Oh, I don't like her. She's a dumb bitch." And then she was like, she abused Johnny Depp, and I was like, "Wait a minute, what?"
Heard, bro.
And I was like, "Wait, when did this happen? I didn't even know he was married to her." But now here's the thing, a lot of times, and I'll say this a lot, or in person a lot, but your personality can change the way that people perceive you and the way that you look. And originally seeing her, I'm like, oh, she's so pretty, they look like a cute couple. And I mean, he's still very attractive. I find him very attractive.
He's been attractive since
and he's
the
also
80s.
a Gemini.
We love Geminis in this house.
I love me.
We love gems in this house.
He was originally married to a Virgo too. Just saying. Anyway, but that's a private joke. Sorry, y'all.
Yeah.
But
insiders, you're not part of that unless you give us some money on Patreon, and then I'll tell you. At least $12.
That's fair. But only at 12.
I'll whisper it to you on the Discord.
Anyway, I was like, okay, so they're cute together. But then the more that I'm seeing this come out, the more that I'm watching her on trial and just fake her ass off and fake being a victim, which pisses me off being like, and I hate admitting that I'm one myself, but being one myself and seeing somebody fake that,
that's disappointing.
That's more than disappointing. It's just, ugh. So there ain't no words for that. And so the more I look back, all the thing, watching the other videos of people's commentary on it and stuff like that. Shout out to Emily D. Baker. I am now a new subscriber to your YouTube channel. She is a lawyer. Shameless plug. She is a lawyer who I don't know if she doesn't do trials anymore, but she is a lawyer that comments on cases and stuff like that and reacts live to them. And she's been following the Johnny Depp Amber Heard case, and she has purple hair, which I love. So she's fun. But anyway, it's been interesting. She has helped me with a lot of like the legal terms and stuff like that. So that's been cool.
Okay.
And which seemed the reason I seem so knowledgeable about it. But I forgot where I was going with this. Anyway, looking back at the photos and stuff of her, she looks so ugly to me now, and that's
because you can see her character.
Yeah. So, and I can see what he would have fallen
being
for.
Amber Heard, just gotta clarify that.
Right. And I can see the illusion that he would have fallen for, and I feel so sorry for him that he did, because not all people who are pretty are like that. But there are a lot that take advantage of being like, being outwardly
seen
beautiful.
Seen is beautiful, yeah.
And that's unfortunate, and I hate that.
So she's gonna get what she deserves, and especially in the court of public opinion, which is.
I hope she never gets another deal ever again.
And I told you this. She will, because there are some sick individuals in the world.
She need to work at a gas station.
Listen,
no,
girl.
That's putting harsh things on people who work at gas stations. I have more respect for them.
Yeah, bro. The best case scenario for this,
clean up shit.
OnlyFans. Right? Yeah, no, but like there are people who are going to seek her out for this purely because she's trending. Like you know, that's what brought us to this. That's what's gonna give her some more jobs. Only for a while. It's only gonna last for the next 2 years, because that's how these things go. But someone will, and then we get to personally vilify them also. Yep, and we will. Yeah, I think that's pretty good for today. We are about at time. All right. I'm still super fucking pissed that our recording equipment is full of shit, but the dumb bitch who crossed my boundaries bought it, so I'm and he's full of shit. Yeah, so this is cheap equipment. So we gotta buy some better stuff. Please give me some feedback if you got this far in the episode. I'd love to know what you guys think. And hopefully we get new people listening. Again, I normally don't sound like this. I don't know if I said it in this one, but I am a little sick, but I am getting better. So my voice will maybe get lighter. I don't know how I sound. Yeah, me either. You sound fine to me, but I know that you're sick, so maybe that's part of it. I live with you, so constant exposure to things is going to dull your general awareness. But yeah, so that's all we have for you guys today. And we'll see you next week. Yep. All of the links to our Instagram, Patreon, all that is going to be in the link tree in the description. If you're on Spotify, it's there are hyperlinks, so you just click on it. Do you a solid. Yeah, that'd be nice. Do you a little favor. Yeah, so I'm gonna go first this time. Kaylyn was here. Khairah is here. And thanks for listening. Bye.